on the American Dream Business Roundtable, and I know, Greg, you are chomping at the bit to ask Joe this question, so go for it.
Well, Joe, you mentioned earlier about the need for the entrepreneur in developing his business plan to focus his attention on competition. And I know that at least some of the time with the entrepreneurs I work with, that they fail to anticipate what the competitive reaction will be.
Sure.
Have you dealt with that much?
Oh yes, a lot of times.
Okay.
And usually the competitive reaction is, if they're a big enough company, is to undercut your price, to try to put you out of business. That will be their
Right.
strategy.
So what do you do with somebody? Are you counseling somebody also that is the other side?
Right. Well, I'm counseling the other side. I'm not saying that I'm the guy that's going to lower my price and put them out of business, right?
Right.
You've got to let the public know the differences between your product and theirs. And it can't just be price. Every time you end up selling on price, you lose.
And this is where the USP comes into play, right?
Right.
Your unique selling proposition.
Correct.
What niche?
What niche, and I call it your value proposition.
That too.
Right. And you need to be able to, you need to have a value proposition, what your product is over everybody else's product. You need to be able to say it within 2 sentences, and you need to be able to get it out in under half a minute.
Right.
Because that's typically how long a person will pay attention to you when you're trying to sell your stuff. So,
So don't try and compete on the basis of price.
Price, no.
As a startup,
No,
you're probably not going to have the deep pockets to sustain
Correct.
a war on price.
no, you're not. And
You're
even
not going
when
to
I,
get millions of dollars
well,
to do that marketing plan.
even when I was at IBM, I told my people never sell on price. If you cut this price down below our competitors and I find out about it, I'm going to fire you, because all you can do is sell on price, and we don't sell on price in this division.
Do you think American business today, in the situation that we're doing right now with the economy and everything else, do you see a lot of new businesses being created?
I see a lot of new business startups, yeah, and as we see more and more layoffs, which we're going to see, unfortunately, we're going to see more startups and small businesses because people need to make a living.
That's right.
And they haven't had the time to retire, didn't save enough money to retire. And you're talking about people in their 50s, right? They had no idea they weren't going to be working in their 50s. And now they sometimes I call them the reluctant entrepreneur. They kind of got forced into entrepreneurship so they can continue to maintain their lifestyle.
They got laid off, and now they have to make a living.
American companies are not, you're not staying with an American company, at least my children who are in their 40s, right?
Right.
They're not the same, things aren't the same as they were when, you were with GE or you with Chevrolet or somebody else. It's different today. And the other thing is that people are not retiring that they thought were going to retire.
Yeah, the baby boomers are hanging on to their positions longer. So that's an absolutely true statement.
Well, the other thing that we have this technology that's emerging. The Millennials, for example, they were born in the 90s, and they're basically the first generation that's grown up with computers and cell phones. And so we have this technology out here that we didn't have certain businesses before. For example, there's a business that compares gas prices. And that, it's an app that you have on your phone. And there's a lot of apps that they're just new ways of putting together information that we've never had before.
I want to just jump in there because a lot of people that are in the older generation, want to learn because they have to learn computers, because if they don't learn even the internet or how to do things, the way life is going today is that people are living a lot longer, They're living in their hundreds. It's insurance companies and retirement groups have had to change their pitches because people aren't retiring at 65. I ran into an 85-year-old the other day, And she said, I was explaining to her something about our television show. And she wants to watch, but she wants to be able to go up on the website and just pull it. But she didn't know exactly how to go on the browser. And she said, I'm a slow learner. I said, I'll come over to your house and show you. There should be businesses created for even this group of people.
Sure, absolutely.
Well, and I don't know whether we can recall our first show, but I mentioned a statistic there that 25% of all entrepreneurs are over 55.
Right.
25% of all entrepreneurs are between 45 and 55. So half of all entrepreneurs are over 45, leaving the other half younger than 45. Some of us believe that entrepreneurship is something for the young, the up-and-comers. But no, either the forced entrepreneurs or...
Well, yeah, but you have these kids didn't graduate from college and started these businesses. They're billion-dollar businesses now.
Right.
And that's why people think of young entrepreneurs.
Right.
They're taking just the cream of the crop and saying, see, they're all entrepreneurs. That's not the case.
Right.
It's true. And I mean, if you see, you'll probably notice, Joe and Greg, that there's a lot of women entrepreneurs today that there had never been before, and they're not afraid. They're not afraid to ask for money, and they're not afraid to go out and do it and actually make it happen. It could be a cake mix that they created, or a recipe, or maybe an invention. And they feel like, what am I going to lose?
Well, my favorite example of that, and I don't know her name, the woman behind the Spanx. I learned we had a new billionaire, and I didn't even know there was a business. This goes to show that you can, in our economy, start a business, make $1 billion, and at least a large part of the populace don't even know that there's a business there. But she
was on. Actually, her husband was on my radio show.
Was she? Was he?
Was he? He was.
Well, her father was the one who talked about her failure all the time, which gave her a good background when she actually had to deal with failure in her business. Right. But he would, around the kitchen table, as the story goes, honey, what did you fail at today? Well, I tried to play the clarinet and it was terrible. No. Oh, well, that's great, honey. What do you think you're going to fail at tomorrow? And just embracing the failure, because, well, that's what life's all about. And entrepreneurs know that you're going to try things that aren't going to work.
Yep.
And if you cannot handle that notion that you're going to try things and not everything is going to work, maybe it isn't a good fit. But most people can wrap their heads around that and say, I'm going to try different advertising, marketing approaches, and some will hit, and some will hit better than others. Once I learn for my particular product or service which marketing avenues are the best, then I'll direct my activity and my dollars into those areas, and we'll just chalk the rest up to a learning experience,
right?
Because that's what you have to do.
And that's where social networking and a lot of other things come into it. And we're going to be talking about that in the next segment, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Because without that, you can have a product and you can have a business plan and you can have everything else, but you've got to be able to do something with it after you've got that all together. And on that note, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back on the American Dream Roundtable with Greg Noe, my co-host, and JL Abbott. We'll be right back.